Hello internet, Broken here, and have I got something juicy for you. I was looking over some footage and found a short clip that shows character customization and skills. As you can see from this screen, we get a name, we can choose what attributes our character has, more on that later. We get what skills we've learned in our life leading up to the imprisonment, how old we are, and there's an interesting interaction with the age, attributes, we'll get into that later as well. And there's also an option for a team and gear, which I think is more for a team deathmatch game mode, but we'll have a video on that in the future. You also get your flaws and your crime that you've committed. Now, flaws, I think that links into your attributes, so we'll go through that later. But the crime, well, I've got a theory about the crime. My theory is, this is a field that you can't change, but it's selected by the skills and attributes that you've selected prior to this. So this will change depending on what skills you put in. Now, the reason for this is that I think if you're going more hunter related, then you're going to have more animal related crimes, or, I don't know, being on the run, things like that, like evading, being a fugitive, that might come into play there. But if you don't think that's right, then comment below and tell me what you think they're for. But you'll see later in the video why I think that. Okay, so let's start with your appearance. This seems pretty generic, but it's got a lot of options, so you can make your character fairly unique. One thing that has been confirmed by the developers is female characters are in the game too, so even though it's greyed out here, it's an option upon release. I wonder how this will play out as a female. So anyway, your attributes. There are 4 of them. You have strength, constitution, dexterity, and intelligence. Strength is linked to things such as how much you can carry before you get slowed down, how fast you can move heavy objects, how much melee damage you deal, but it also means you burn more calories each day. Constitution, this refers to your endurance, stamina, and how much health that you start with. It is also how well you can deal with stress, pain, poisons, weather effects, and shock. In essence, the better your constitution, the less likely you are to get hurt. Constitution is also how physically fit you are, so you can run longer and you recover quicker. You also spend calories more effectively each day, so your calorie consumption is decreased. Dexterity is all about movement-based skills. It's how fast you can move, how fast you can perform actions such as crafting, reloading, and eating. It improves the chances of completing complex actions such as surgery. Yeah, surgery is in the game. And also other complex actions like fixing electronics. Intelligence is the final attribute, and it relates to everything mental and sensory. Basically put, the higher your intelligence, the better chance of performing tasks. It improves the chance to hit a target whilst you're aimed, and it gives you additional skill slots and helps you learn skills faster. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to put in the description a list of all the attributes and skills. I want you to write in the comments what your build will be, and then we'll compare and contrast and we'll see which ones are the best. Right, let's move on to the skills. So within the strength category, we have Unarmed Combat. This will be how good you are at hand-to-hand combat. The developers have released a video on a hand-to-hand combat. I'll put that in the description so you can have a look at that. Then we've got rifles. This will more than likely be your longer range rifles and how proficient you are with them. Think like assault rifles, that sort of stuff. Handguns, this will be the same as rifles but with handguns. Melee, this will be things like baseball bats, blades, and I think they will have a chance for a fatal wound to be inflicted, or at least some sort of bleeding damage. Archery, this will be my starting skill I think. It's all about the accuracy and damage, seeing as it will be in the strength tree. This makes sort of sense. So heavy weapons as well. Well, this makes me think that we're going to see rocket launchers and LMGs. We'll have to see on that though, because there's been nothing released on that so far. All these skills I believe are leveled up using the weapon. So if you use the assault rifle or use the handgun repeatedly, you'll level that skill up. Okay, so constitution now. We've got running. So this will be how good you are at running, not how far you can run though. That's for the endurance skill. And then obviously we've got the endurance skill, so this is how far you can run and how quickly you can recover your stamina. Resistance, it's all about pain and how much that you can take. It's also similar to an immune system, so like poison resistance, weather resistance, disease resistance, those sort of things. Swimming, well, this will be the same as running, but for swimming instead, of course. And these skills will level up over time by doing the action repeatedly. If you run a lot, you'll get good at running, simple. So let's move on to dexterity. The first skill is stealth. This is how quiet that you move, how much you are noticed when you're moving, and it will also link in with the camouflage skill, I believe. Then we get weapon throwing. This makes me think that there'll be grenades, spears, knives, axes, that sort of thing, which you can throw and hopefully retrieve. Well, maybe not the grenade. Then we've got driving, as well as motorcycling, piloting, and sailing. So this must mean that there are cars, bikes, planes, and boats in the game. A little interesting side note that I read was the map, as it stands, is a 12 by 12 kilometer, so that's 144 kilometers squared. And if you think to PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, those maps are 8 by 8 kilometers, so 64 kilometers squared, to put that into perspective. Maybe vehicles are a major part of the game for moving from place to place, but who knows? We'll see how it plays out in the game. The next skill is climbing, so I think more rock climbing or maybe even parkour. Something for a stealth build, I think. Then we've got steal / pickpocket / open locks. Well, the open locks is the big one for me here. Seeing that makes me think that we can lock things up safely. Well, maybe not that safely if it could be picked, but at least we can store our stuff in some way, shape or form on the server. These skills again are leveled up by using them. If you want to be a thief, then steal lots of stuff and that'll get you good at it. Now we've got the intelligence skills, so awareness. This was demonstrated as being the skill that highlights objects of interest, such as food and items, but also the counter to camouflage and the stealth skill. Then we've got sniping. This is all about the accuracy and how quickly you can gauge the distance and wind to a target. There's a video on this, I will try and link as well. Then we've got medical. So this will be all types of treatment of wounds and illnesses. The better the skill, the more severe trauma that you can deal with. Then we've got camouflage. You want to be a ninja, level this up, get in the bushes, no one will see you. Then we've got the tactics skill. So this is the skill that's infamously linked with the wall hack. It's like you're anticipating the enemy's movement when you can't see them. Like you're imagining what they would do. The better that you can understand someone's tactics, the better that you can predict their movements. Then we'll look at the programming and electronics. So this will be about hacking doors and the chip that's on the back of your head. Maybe also making remote detonators for explosives, things like that. Then we've got the survival skill. So this I think will tie in with your awareness. The higher your survival skill, the more that you will know to look out for food and medicine, and also how to make fires and traps, etc. Then you've got cooking. Well, you can't live off raw meat, so cooking will be essential, especially if your build is the muscle man build. Next is the biochemistry skill. So it was alluded to that this skill is how to make things like fuel. I think this will also be things like explosives and poisons. It will link in with many skills, so this may be the best skill on the game, and I'll be using it a lot. Then we've got education and psychology. Something I thought was interesting when reading about the game was the fact that you can teach people how to do things, so you can pass on your skills. I think this will come under this skill, but it also is the skill that defines how good that you are at being able to be taught. Then we've got demolitions. You want to make things go boom? Well, this is the skill that you need. And that's all the skills that are in that list. So thanks for sticking with me through all those skills. We're almost to the end of the video now. We're going to go over the flaws now. So in a podcast with John and Mike, the community manager, Joseph, he said that you can take flaws to further gain a base attribute point, but it also takes a penalty in some way. So for example, you might get +1 in strength for alcoholism, but you will also have the shakes. So if you don't have a drink within a certain time frame, you'll start getting the effects of alcoholism. So this is quite an interesting mechanic within the game, and it's sort of, well, do I want this positive against, is this negative really worth it? So it throws a bit of extra balance into the game. And lastly, we have the crime. So I think that the crime that you've committed is based on the build of your character. But I mean that in the way that you have made that build, so the crime will change altering what you've done. An example of this would be if you've made a demolitions build, you'll get like bank robber or something. And if you're a weapons specialist, then maybe something to do with murder. I feel that the game shouldn't give you a crime and then try and make you tailor your attributes towards that. I think you should be able to play the game how you want. And that is the end of the video. Thank you for sitting with me and listening to me talk and babble on. If you liked what I said, then leave me a like and subscribe if you want more content like this. Let me know in the comments of any of your own ideas, and then maybe we'll get them featured in the next video. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.